paid. I'm going to leave my glasses on, okay? Wow. Some of those pictures I liked, some I didn't. But at least I had some hair back then. But thank you so much. It's so overwhelming just to look out there and see everybody that has been a part of my career, my life, friends, family. It's amazing. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I'd like to thank Sharita Freeman, our athletic director, has been so kind to me. Everyone who wrote letters, emails, made phone calls on my behalf, and especially President Nicole Hurd for making the announcement back in May live during the spring football showcase. I don't think it was an incredibly extraordinary experience. I don't think any other Lafayette athlete has ever encountered upon their election, so I thank you. I love Lafayette. When I was recruited in the fall of 1993 by the late Bill Rousseau and young Steve Spagnuolo, now defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, a few days earlier I had committed to the United States Naval Academy, and an early cold January morning in January, showed up, both Bill Russo and Steve showed up in the upper parking lot at Parkland High School, not far from here, at 7 a.m. And after several hours of selling and convincing me to come to Lafayette, I became a leopard for life. That was almost 42 years ago. It's hard to believe. I was lucky to have 3 careers here on College Hill, first as a player, then as a coach, and now as a LSN color analyst for the past 16 years. It's been quite a ride since I first stepped foot on this amazing campus. When I went out to my first practice, as Phil Ing mentioned, there were 7 quarterbacks in the throwing lines. 6'4", Dean Rivera, 6'4", Jimmy Johnson. He mentioned Paul Strunchus, rifle arm quarterback. John Dionis was there. Phil Ing was a quarterback. He didn't mention that. He was a quarterback, too, out of California. But when I got my playbook the next day, it said defense. And I'm like, I was really, reluctantly, I went with Coach Mancini off to defensive meetings, but Coach R, I think I still could have played quarterback here. You know, my playing career saw me have the privilege of following legendary defensive back Bobby Marr, who's here tonight, and playing with some of the best players that Lafayette has ever seen. One of my close friends, obviously Phil Ing, one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. Sports Illustrated quarterback Frank Bauer, who's here tonight. Linebackers like Frank Gaziano, Horace Davis, who's here tonight as well, and one of my close friends, Mike Shoemaker. Shuey was an actually tackling machine. Shuey would tackle your parents at the Fiji cocktail party after the game. I mean, he's just an animal. There were running backs like Ryan Priest and Bruce McIntyre, familiar names. Ryan was like tackling a fire hydrant. And there were great captains here as well, guys like Dave Rankins and Dave McPhee. And Dave, again, this is 1986, and Dave was the one that named the secondary the Danger Zone after Top Gun. So that's how far I go back. Just the thing about it was, like, there were no blue tents back in the 80s. So if there were blue tents back in the 80s on the sidelines, I think Dave and I would have been roommates, you know, by the protocol. So, and there's a great quote by Isabella Lundy that says, true friendship withstands time, distance, and silence. And I love that quote. So a shout out to all my Phi Gam brothers. These men had a real impact on my perception of brotherhood and true friendship while on the field and even today. And I can't thank you guys enough. I'm overwhelmed. So thank you all. Those 4 years shaped my thinking of returning and being a college coach after stints at Moravian and at Villanova, where I won championships there with great coaches, and a graduate assistant at Villanova, as I mentioned. That, in fact, I didn't think I'd be any good as an engineer in the real world. 10 years of coaching under Bill Russo, I had the chance to learn from great men, guys like Joe Mancini and Jat Sigalecki, Paul Schaffner, Bobby Hefner, the venerable head coach Frank Tavani, an unequaled friend and the coach that put the Leopards back on the map in the 2000s, the best recruiter I've ever seen, I mean, just think about some of the running backs that Coach Devine recruited. Guys like Tommy Costello, Eric Marsh, who's here tonight, Joe McCourt, Jonathan Hurt, Ross Sherman. I mean, just unbelievable. So I thank you all. Some amazing and turbulent times in the 90s. Lafayette went through some really tough times, but through it all, 2 Patriot League championships. I had the honor of coaching Hall of Famers like Harrison Bailey, Danny Bengal, B.J. Gallus, some great players like Matt Cope and Angel Colon, Mark Reardon, the late Tommy Kirchhoff, the best running back in the history of Lafayette. I mentioned Eric Marsh. And maybe the most importantly, a chance to coach probably my favorite player, an extension of myself on the field, your current head coach, John Troxell. I can't tell you the pleasure I get from watching former players like Ross Sherman. Obviously, I mentioned Billy Schaefer, Marco Olivas, all these names, Sekou White, Dean DeNoble now, and Elijah Stewart. Chase down their dreams. They and their families are so special to me, and I've gotten to know them very, very well. And now the final chapter, which is still being written, 16 years of broadcasting. These times have been as much fun as playing and coaching. And the best part about it is I'm undefeated. I'm never wrong. So every time Gary Laubach says, "Oh my," he says, "Mike, what do you do here? It's 4th and 1. You know, you got 2 minutes left in the game. You're on your own 35, and the Leopards are up by 1." And I just turn to him and I say, "You go for it." So I'll be forever in debt to my colleagues at LSN, Scott Morse, Phil LaBella, John Leone, John Sabino, Phil Ing, Megan Caffrey, John Beat Bowman, everyone at Astound, and of course, the last portion of my career here at Lafayette would not have been possible without the indelible Gary Laubach, whose professionalism and leadership and mostly friendship is undefeated in the world of broadcasting. So I thank you all. And most importantly, I want to thank my family. It's going to be tough. My mother Pam's here, my brother Jim, my closest friends, John Cassiano and Bill Hess, my cousin Tony Perella, even though he played at Lehigh, and my late father, Al Joseph, who would have expected nothing less and would always say to me, "You need to believe that you're the best player on the field all the time." And he'd say, "You champion." And my children for putting up with me trying to rewind the television and analyze every sporting event. My daughter, Caroline, my boo, and her fiance, Derek, both proud graduates of Penn State. And my sons, Peyton and Tyler, both graduates here at Lafayette College. I mean, I can still see my 2-year-old son, Peyton, hugging the Leopard mascot for the first time right here at Kirby Sports Center when long time ago, and Christine and I dragging Caroline around College Hill with the wagon on Halloween. Peyton and Caroline and Tyler, our relationships are so special to me. Christine and I are proud of the lady and gentleman that you've turned out to be. We love you guys. My incredible wife, Christine, also a Lafayette Leopard. The struggles with being the wife of a former player, former coach, and current broadcaster are endless. And most of you who do know me know it's one thing to spend a Saturday afternoon in the booth with me and something completely different to endure the last 32 years with. And for those of you who don't know me, when it comes to sports, I can be quite difficult. It's true, believe it. And I don't call it difficult, I call it passionate, as John Leone would say. A Browns fan and a Jets fan, you figure it out. So to you, Christine, I say I love you and thank you the most. As you can see and feel here tonight, maroon and white runs deep in my family. I had the privilege of playing in 4 rivalry games, including 2 wins and playing in the last game at Taylor Stadium. I also had coached in 9. Tomorrow's game will be so special, so I say to everyone, enjoy every hour, every minute, every second of your Lafayette experience, because this is truly a special place. I am so grateful to all of you. Again, thanks to the Maroon Club Hall of Fame Committee and to President Nicole Hurd, who has restored the passion and the true meaning of this college. And now when the Leopards break their huddle, they say, beat Lehigh on 3, and we've done this a few times tonight, so nice and loud, I'll say beat Lehigh 1, 2, 3, and we say beat Lehigh. Are we ready? All right. Beat Lehigh on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.